the 2020 election in Georgia was not stolen. Our elections in Georgia are secure, accessible, and fair. Among those charged, along with the former president, attorney Rudy Giuliani, who made a name for himself as a prosecutor using racketeering laws to take down the mafia in New York, now facing similar charges.
This is ridiculous.
Now rocking with that dude Pascal. Going wild. Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis is already forget about it. Goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Find somebody rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody was stuck.
Good afternoon. Hold on.
For the 2024 nomination is just a week away.
What the heck is going on?
And there was
Hold on, guys.
speculation that many
Hold
charged
on.
in
What the
Georgia
heck?
would push to have that trial
Let
move
me
from
see what's
state
going on
court to
here.
federal court.
Shall we?
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild. Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis is ready. Forget about it. Goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Find somebody rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody was stuck.
Good afternoon. Good evening and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits. We got some new possible updates. I'm very interested. I'm very interested to see what's going on here. As you know, we have been covering this devastating, this heartbreaking case of NAOMI IRION. She was taken in a Walmart parking lot in Nevada a little over a year ago, and now there's some new updates. There's been other updates that have been going on as well, and of course, I'm going to give you guys those too before we get into everything. Now, the one thing that I am still doing as well, I got a few things, few logs in the fire burning, just kind of waiting to see if what I'm believing to be true is actually true as far as this press conference, because I'm going to be real. It's been quite a pain in the butt trying to get this press conference, but some of y'all have been helping me out with the information. So hopefully we have the right link or the right situation going on here. So we are going to be looking at that here very, very shortly. But before we get into everything, please do me a favor, hit that like button if you're watching on Facebook, react down below. That would really mean a lot. Hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. And of course, if you haven't done this yet, please hit that subscribe button. We talk about a lot of things on this channel. We talk about everything that's going on in the world, and we have been covering this case for a good long time now. And maybe we're getting some closure. Maybe they're exposing more evidence in this case, showing proof positive that maybe the alleged monster did things. I don't know. Okay. I'm quite curious as to why they're doing this press conference. I mean, obviously, that's something that a lot of us are questioning right now. So be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, do not forget to crush that follow button on my Facebook page. Facebook family has been growing beautifully. So continue doing so by hitting that follow button and join the family over there. And of course, if you want to support the channel on YouTube, consider becoming a family member by hitting that join button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, I got my Patreon, patreon.com/thepascalshow. Okay, let's get all that stuff out the way. All right, I got to keep the lights on, y'all. I'm sorry, that's just how the world works. But at the same time, this is a very devastating situation. Again, I have so many questions about this case, because this case doesn't feel entirely closed, in my personal opinion. It doesn't feel, I'm of course I'm not speaking on behalf of the family, but I can only imagine that the family is feeling not fully like they're getting full closure in this situation. Of course, this is just me saying how I feel right now. Now, there is some information which we are going to get to. I had to kind of reboot some stuff, so I got to get this window back up and running again. Okay, guys. But
thunderstorm, especially here in
ooh,
our area for those
hold
higher
on.
elevations. So number one, you need moisture.
Let me make
Southerly
sure
flow.
I mute that. Sorry about that. But there is a lot to take in this situation. Now, I do want to point out, okay, like I said, this 18-year-old Naomi Irion was taken in a Walmart parking lot. She was waiting for a bus to go off to work, and then all of a sudden, all this stuff that she had. This was a terrible turn of events. Long story short, okay, and my heart is absolutely broken when it comes to this situation. But there is some stuff. They're saying authorities are going to be holding an update on the Naomi Irion case. Now, before we jump into that piece, there is something that we need to know. Now, Horde 42, all right? If you remember, I was calling him Horde 42. This piece of work that's accused of taking this young woman, Naomi Irion, last week did the unthinkable to himself, for lack of a better term. We got to use these code words, unfortunately. Here's Horde 42. All right. So let's get into this really, really quick. So the man accused of unaliving Naomi Irion, the 18-year-old who vanished in March of 2022 from a Walmart parking lot in Nevada, has est himself, okay, has unalived himself. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office said in a news release. They say Troy Driver, all right? And this will probably be the last time you hear me say his name. But this monster, who's a Horde 43, was in custody on M charges and awaiting trial for the M of the unaliving of Naomi Irion, the release said. He was in a maximum security jail cell and had no contact with other inmates. Now, get this out of the way. Deputies tried to resuscitate Driver after finding him unresponsive Sunday afternoon during a routine inmate check. Now, I'm wondering if they were watching him at all times, because let's be real, I'm quite curious. Now, Olivia says Naomi's mom, Diana, is in the chat. Hello, Diana. If you're watching, we love you. I'm sending you nothing but love, support, and all that. If you have time to come on to the show, please let me know after the press conference. I'm hoping this is going to be that we're at the right place for the press conference. But if you have time to come on, I'd love to hear your thoughts and everything. But I understand if you can't. Just definitely comment in the chat and let me know, and I'll send you a link. Okay, but still, I'm wondering how this went down. I'm wondering how he was able to execute this. No pun intended. How he was successfully able to do this. Let's be real. All right. He had been arrested shortly before Irion's body was found, more than 2 weeks after she went missing. He'd been denied bail that April on the M charge. Irion last was seen before dawn, March 12th, 2022, in the parking lot of rural Fernley, Nevada, authorities have said. She was waiting there to take a shuttle to work, her sister has said. She worked at a company just a little bit of ways from that Walmart. She parked there so she can take this bus to go to that place. Okay. And again, just absolutely devastating to say the least. Now, this is the thing. Surveillance video shows a man in a gray hooded sweatshirt approach Irion's car at 5:24 a.m., about a minute before the vehicle was seen leaving the parking lot with the man driving. So the detective said days later in a press conference, or he said this in a press conference days later, the car was found near the Walmart 3 days later. And I remember we were taking a look at her car. We were also looking at a truck that was in the area as well. So the driver took T-dubs, guys. This is the hard part here. And yes, you're right, Leisha. She was working at the Panasonic. She was working at Panasonic, and she was waiting for the bus so she can take the bus to Panasonic so she can do her job. This man was lurking around trying. There's a lot of questions if he had targeted her a while back and was just going and getting her then, or if this was just a random act, like he just walked over there and there she was. There's a lot of questions about this, but I'm going to say this really quick and use the rainbow emoji like a mug, y'all, because may she rest in peace. Real talk. So driver Troy, the monster, took her, and I got to use code words, pulled the trigger on Irion, then buried her body in an attempt to conceal his crime, according to an amended criminal complaint filed in the Justice Court of Canal Township in Lyon County. He was charged with first-degree taking, robbery, burglary of a motor vehicle, and destruction of evidence, it states. Her body was recovered in a remote part of neighboring Churchill County by authorities acting on a tip, they have said. Now, this is devastating information, guys. Okay, absolutely devastating information, and it's very frustrating to hear any of this in the way that we're hearing it right now. Now, hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading some stuff. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. Looks like we have. You said close. Hold on, guys. Where did it go? Okay, hold on, guys. I want to make sure I got everything lined up and everything. Just getting through an ad. Gotta love that stuff. Come on. Come on. Yeah, I'm just waiting for this thing to buffer. So hopefully we have something here. Come on now. Let me see. I don't know what's going on, y'all. There we go. Hold on, let me make sure I got it unmuted. And it looks like they're getting things prepared. Okay. Looks like they're getting things prepared. So hopefully they will have an answer here. And the thing is that apparently they're going to have, maybe they're going to be exposing some video. Maybe there's more video that we don't know about. So we're going to see. It's supposed to be happening right about now. So hopefully they start soon. But they're going to start now. Hit that like button. And use those rainbow emojis. Let's go. This is insane.
Good morning. I'm Sheriff Brad Pope. Thank you to those from the media and attending today and allowing us to share this information with you and our community. My deepest condolences to the Irion family. They remain in my thoughts and prayers. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office, in conjunction with the Lyon County District Attorney's Office, called for this press conference in the spirit of transparency and community information sharing. Today, we are sharing with you the entirety of the NAOMI IRION case. Lieutenant Tyrell Joyner has created a narrated presentation of the entire case. I ask that you hold your question until the presentation is concluded. Before we continue, I want to share my thoughts with you to avoid any confusion. I have seen the insurmountable evidence against Troy Driver. I know that Troy Driver was a coward who preyed on the vulnerability of an innocent young woman that was NAOMI IRION. And Troy Driver proved he was the coward that I knew him to be when he took his own life instead of facing justice. I know this is not the closure the family or law enforcement wanted or anticipated. I empathize with them. However, I do not have any empathy for the damned soul of Troy Driver. A common question that was submitted is, how is Driver allowed to be in a maximum security housing unit and not in an isolation cell under 24-hour surveillance? Followed by, what mental health services, if any, were provided to inmate Driver? To answer these two questions, I want to share a timeline of inmate Driver's incarceration in the Lyon County Jail. On March 25th, 2022, Troy Driver was arrested and booked into the Lyon County Jail. On March 31st, 2022, FAST, where the Forensic Assessment Service Team contacted Driver in the jail and he refused their services. On August 18th, 2022, Lyon County detectives recovered a confession letter and a suicide note. Driver was placed on suicide watch at that time. On August 18th, 2022, Driver met with the psych nurse and adamantly denied being suicidal. Driver admits to writing the letter, but wants to be housed in a normal cell in the maximum security housing unit. On August 19th, 2022, Driver meets with the psych nurse again and denies being suicidal. The psych nurse removes Driver from mental health observation and discharges him in the maximum security housing unit of the Lyon County Jail. On August 20th, 2022, Driver attempts suicide for the first time. August 22nd, 2022, Driver meets with the psych nurse again, which he denies being suicidal and describes being overcome with guilt due to his family having to deal with his incarceration. On August 23rd, 2022, an outside medical professional who is a psych doctor sees Driver and reports that he is stable. On August 25th, 2022, Driver meets with the psych nurse. Suicide watch is discontinued. However, Driver is placed in an isolation cell on a mental health observation and under constant video surveillance. On August 27th, 2022, Driver meets with nursing staff and is labeled as stable. On September 2nd, 2022, medical staff report Driver is doing better and no longer needs to meet with medical staff. Driver states he wants out of his isolation cell. On September 9, 2022, the psych nurse meets with Driver. Driver reports sleep deprivation from the constant checks by deputies on his cell. At this time, Driver refuses to take any psych medications.
What?
On October 5th, 2022, Driver still is in an isolation cell. He denies being suicidal and wants to return to the maximum security housing unit. On October 6, 2022, Driver is returned to the maximum security housing unit. On October 15th, 2022, Driver is seen by a psych doctor for a mental health appointment, and multiple meetings occur with health staff until his next suicide attempt. On March 7th of 2023, Driver attempts suicide for the second time and is treated for lacerations on his wrist. On March 9th and March 10th, 2023, Driver has a meeting with medical staff on both days. On March 11th of 2023, Driver meets with the psych
What?
You said
What?
close your eyes,
Come
don't
on.
look down.
What the heck? What? Really? Oh, come on. You have got to be kidding me. Come on now.
Walking through glass and
What?
debris. And in these conditions, the dogs require frequent rest.
What the hell? What? Hold on, guys. How did that happen? That was whack. What the hell does that makes no sense. That how did I'm wondering oh, that is trash. Hold on, guys. I'm seeing that was stupid.
Lost Mo HealthNet?
Where can we find a low-cost health plan?
What about a plan that covers doctor visits?
Hold on, guys. That was stupid. You better work now. Sorry, guys. I don't even know why that happened. So hopefully it'll be better. My Lord. Well, so far we're hearing that it looks like so far we're hearing that he had a history of doing some really, really terrible things to himself from the time he got arrested all the way to his own demise. But come on.
Arrived and took over life-saving efforts. Life-saving efforts were unsuccessful. An inmate driver was pronounced deceased at 6:49 p.m. At 8:20 p.m., District Attorney Steve Ryan and I spoke to Casey Valley regarding the death of inmate driver. Casey Valley stated he would continue to notify his family. To the community, there is no longer any threat from Troy Driver. Again, the evidence is insurmountable that he was the perpetrator of this despicable act, and he is dead. He continually chose the path of a coward and ended his life with a cowardly act. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office strives to prevent a crime of this magnitude being carried out against the community again. We have increased Sheriff's Office operations and manpower throughout our community. We will keep applying pressure to the criminal element of our community that choose a life of crime over our quality of life. At this time, I would like to introduce Lieutenant Tyrell Joyner, who oversees our investigations division.
It just doesn't make
Good morning.
sense.
I'm Lieutenant Tyrell Joyner with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Investigations Division. As Sheriff Pope said, Troy Driver committing suicide was not the closure that NAOMI IRION's family deserved, nor was what law enforcement wanted. After Troy Driver committed suicide, we knew that the case should not die with Driver and that the truth of his guilt needed to be told. The following synopsis was created in an attempt to provide closure to NAOMI's family and friends and to ensure them that Driver was the person responsible for taking the life of NAOMI. On March 12, 2022, NAOMI IRION was kidnapped from the Fernley Walmart located at 1550 East Inlands Drive, Fernley, Nevada. Investigators learned that NAOMI was kidnapped and driven against her will to a remote mine site where she was sexually assaulted and murdered. Investigators identified Fallon, Nevada resident Troy Driver as the suspect. Driver was ultimately arrested and charged for the crimes against NAOMI. After 3 separate attempts over a 17-month period, on August 6, 2023, Rather than facing criminal charges with overwhelming evidence, driver committed suicide while in custody at the Lyon County Jail. The following presentation is a synopsis of the investigation and evidence that has been prepared by the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Investigations Division. The following presentation has been made in an effort for transparency, as well as giving Naomi's family and friends closure. 18-year-old Naomi Irion was a resident of Fernley, Nevada. On March 14, 2022, Naomi was reported missing by family members. Naomi was reported to have been last seen the morning of March 12, 2022, when she had left home for work. On March 15, 2022, the investigation was assigned to the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Investigations Division. Detectives learned that Naomi worked at the Panasonic Energy of North America plant, located in the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. Detectives learned that typically Naomi would drive her 1992 Mercury Sable to the Fernley Walmart. Naomi would park her vehicle in the Walmart parking lot, then ride a shuttle bus to work. The initial step in the investigation was to review the surveillance footage from Walmart. The surveillance footage showed that on March 12, 2022, at approximately 0509 hours, Naomi drove into the Fernley Walmart parking lot in her Mercury Sable. Naomi parked her vehicle in the parking lot on the east side of the building. Naomi was seated in the driver's seat of her vehicle while waiting for the shuttle bus. As Naomi was seated in her vehicle, a male subject was observed actively stalking Naomi's vehicle. The male subject eventually approached the driver's side of Naomi's vehicle. The suspect opened the driver's side door of Naomi's vehicle and got into the car. Seconds later, Naomi's vehicle was driven by the unknown suspect out of the Walmart parking lot. Naomi was not seen again, and her vehicle was not located until several days later.
Yeah, there's no sound in this one, guys, in this video. And I am going to replay the beginning in a little bit so we could just hear everything, not the whole, just what the first officer was saying.
After reviewing the initial surveillance footage, detectives believe Naomi had been kidnapped against her will. Detectives further analyzed the video surveillance from Walmart and determined through triangulation and recreation that the suspect was between 6 foot and 6'3" in height. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office immediately began searching the area for Naomi's vehicle. Detectives also began conducting emergency location pings of Naomi's cell phone. Detectives learned that Naomi's cell phone had been turned off on the morning of March 12th, and there was no location data available for Naomi's phone. On March 15th, Naomi's vehicle was located in Fernley.
The car was located in a dirt lot on the east side of Duffy Road between the Lowe's Home Improvement Store and the Sherwin-Williams factory. The car was seized as evidence and later processed by forensic technicians with the Washoe County Sheriff's Office Forensic Science Division. Detectives began to collect video surveillance from nearby businesses. Detectives located video footage of Naomi's car being driven southbound on Duffy Road, then parked in a dirt lot on the east side of Duffy Road. Naomi's car was parked in the dirt lot on March 12th at approximately 15:31 hours. An unknown suspect was observed walking away from Naomi's car after it was parked in the dirt lot. The unknown suspect walked southbound on Duffy Road. A short time later, on March 12th at 16:12 hours, a grayish-blue Chevrolet truck was seen driving on Duffy Road and parking nearby Naomi's car. The driver of the truck exited the truck and walked to the car. The driver of the truck moved Naomi's car to a different dirt lot, then exited the car and left in the truck.
Wow. Wow. From Diana. Thank you. Insane. This is the press conference, everybody. Unbelievable. There goes the truck. Horde 42.
Based on the fact that the driver of the truck had physically moved Naomi's car in the dirt lot. Detectives believed the driver of the truck was involved in Naomi's disappearance. Detectives took screenshots of the surveillance footage of the truck in an attempt to identify the truck and unknown driver. Those screenshots were released to the public. Those screenshots were also taken to multiple Chevrolet dealerships in the area. The photographs were analyzed by each Chevrolet dealership independently. There were several details in the still shots of the truck. The truck had 4 doors with chrome door handles and partially chrome wrapped rear view mirrors. The truck had roof mounted fog lights. The truck had chrome running boards and chrome rims. The truck had a gold colored Chevrolet emblem on the front bumper. The truck had a rear center sliding window. The truck had color matched front and rear bumpers. The truck was identified by multiple Chevrolet dealerships as a 2020 to 2022 Chevrolet High Country 2500 or 3500 model, which was either a metallic blue or metallic gray in color. After identifying the make and model of the suspect truck, detectives obtained a list from the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles of 2020 to 2022 Chevrolet High Country 2500 or 3500 models in the western Nevada area. The list contained several hundred vehicles. Analysis from the Nevada Threat Analysis Center assisted detectives in reviewing and eliminating vehicles off of the list based on color. Detectives then began to physically attempt to locate each vehicle on the list with a similar color to eliminate vehicles from the list and identify the suspect vehicle. Vehicles were eliminated from the list for reasons such as modifications, different chrome packages, different rims, etc. As detectives were eliminating trucks from the DMV list, other investigators were reviewing hours of surveillance footage from every business located in the area of Newlands Drive and Fernley. While eliminating vehicles from the suspect list, detectives learned of one particular truck registered to an address in Silver Springs, Nevada. The property at which the truck was registered to was not consistent with other homes of people owning a $60,000 to $80,000 truck. The property had numerous broke down, damaged, and haphazardly parked vehicles, which was not consistent with what detectives had observed of other owners of the same model truck. Detectives conducted further research into the registered owner of the truck. The registered owner of the truck was an individual named Troy Edward Driver. A driver's license check showed that Driver was a white male adult who weighed 215 pounds and was 6 feet 2 inches tall. A local law enforcement records check showed that Driver was listed as the suspect in a sexual assault case in Elko, Nevada in 2021. A criminal history check showed that Driver had an extensive criminal history, which started with animal cruelty as a teenager. At the age of 17, Driver was involved with a robbery and homicide in California. Driver was tried as an adult and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Driver was released from prison in 2012 and was under the supervision of parole and probation. Driver's parole and probation was transferred to Nevada in 2012, and Driver moved to Nevada. Driver then completed parole and probation in 2015 and has had limited contact with law enforcement since then. Based on Driver's physical description, as well as his criminal history, detectives made it a priority to locate Driver's truck to compare it to the suspect vehicle. Detectives learned that Driver was now living in Fallon, Nevada. Detectives also learned that Driver was a supervisor for Leadcore, which is a mining exploration company in Nevada. Churchill County Sheriff's Office detectives assisted the Lyon County Sheriff's Office in locating Driver's truck in Fallon, Nevada. Driver's truck was located and photographed at his residence. Driver's truck was the first truck on the DMV list to match the suspect vehicle point for point. This included the truck having 4 doors with chrome door handles, partially chrome wrapped rear view mirrors, chrome running boards, and chrome rims. A gold colored Chevrolet emblem on the front bumper, a rear sliding window, color matched front and rear bumpers, and roof mounted running lights. Driver's truck was listed by the manufacturer as being a 2020 Chevrolet High Country 3500 that was metallic gray in color. At this point, Driver matched the physical description of the kidnapping suspect, owned an identical vehicle to the suspect vehicle, and had a violent criminal history. Detectives learned that Driver possessed 2 cell phones, which included a work phone and a personal phone. Detectives immediately sought for a search warrant of Driver's cell phone records to determine his location on March 12, 2022. The cell phone records showed that both of Driver's cell phones had been located at his residence in Fallon on March 12, 2022. However, the phone records showed that there was 0 activity on either phone on March 12, meaning there was not a single phone call or text message made on either phone. The lack of activity on Driver's cell phones were inconsistent with his normal cell phone usage. Driver had used his cell phones daily throughout March except for on March 12. The lack of cell phone activity on March 12 added to the probable cause that Driver was the kidnapping suspect. As previously stated, investigators were reviewing hours of surveillance footage taken from every business in the area of Newlands Drive in an attempt to piece together what happened to Naomi. Detectives eventually located surveillance footage of the suspect truck arriving in the area of the Walmart on the morning of March 12th at approximately 0422 hours. The truck was parked in a dirt lot on the south side of the Walmart parking lot. The dirt lot is located between the Wells Fargo Bank and the Greater Nevada Credit Union Bank. The dirt lot is commonly used by semi-trucks and RVs. On March 12th, at 0509 hours, Naomi's car is seen entering the Walmart parking lot from Newlands Drive. At this point, the Chevrolet High Country truck is already parked in the dirt lot south of Walmart. After Naomi's car is parked, the kidnapping suspect can be seen walking across the Walmart parking lot from the dirt lot where the Chevy truck had been parked. As previously stated, the suspect stalked the vehicle for several minutes. Eventually, the suspect entered Naomi's car and drives away with Naomi.
Seconds, it sounds like. Seconds. That's crazy.
Surveillance footage was reviewed of the dirt lot where Naomi's car had been abandoned on the afternoon of March 12th. The suspect exited the car and walked southbound away from the car. Detectives were able to piece together the movements of the suspect by combining different video surveillance footage in the area. The surveillance footage showed the suspect walk from Naomi's abandoned car to the Chevy truck parked in the dirt lot south of Walmart. As the suspect walked from Naomi's car, the suspect made a westbound turn crossing Stanley Drive near the Greater Nevada Credit Union. Inadvertently, the suspect walked past the surveillance camera near the Greater Nevada Credit Union that gives a clear view of the suspect's face. The suspect was immediately recognizable as Troy Driver.
Jesus. Have mercy.
Driver continues walking to his truck in the dirt lot south of Walmart. Surveillance footage confirmed driver's truck had not moved since being parked in the dirt lot at 0422 hours that morning. Driver was observed getting back into his truck and driving away from the area. The timeline of the surveillance footage shows that it was at this point, for whatever reason, driver returned to Naomi's car in his truck. Driver exited his truck, repositioned Naomi's car in the dirt lot, and left the area. At this point in the investigation, there had been no activity on Naomi's cell phone, social media accounts, or financial accounts. Detectives feared the worst for Naomi. After positively identifying driver walking away from Naomi's abandoned car, detectives believe probable cause existed that driver was responsible for the kidnapping of Naomi. On March 25th, 2022, detectives arrested driver for the kidnapping of Naomi. Driver was booked into the Lyon County Jail. Driver refused to speak with detectives. Simultaneous to driver's arrest, a search warrant was executed on driver's residence in Fallon, Nevada. Driver's truck was seized as evidence and taken to the Washoe County Sheriff's Office laboratory for processing. Detectives immediately observed driver's truck had brand new tires. Further investigation showed the driver had replaced his tires on March 19, 2022, which was after the Lyon County Sheriff's Office released pictures of driver's truck to the media in an attempt to identify the truck. Driver had replaced the tires at a Les Schwab in Winnemucca, Nevada, even though a Les Schwab in Fallon, Nevada have the same tires in stock. Detectives believe the local media surrounding the investigation had led driver to travel away from the area to replace the tires in fear of drawing attention to himself. Driver's original tires were still located at the Les Schwab in Winnemucca, Nevada, and were collected as evidence. After driver was arrested, law enforcement began to receive tips about driver. The Pershing County Sheriff's Office received a tip that in February of 2022, a semi-truck hauling an excavator had been trying to deliver the excavator to Troy Driver at the Relief Canyon mine outside of Lovelock, Nevada, for a lead core operation. The employee who had spoken to the excavator delivery driver personally knew Troy Driver and knew the driver was not working at the Relief Canyon mine. The mine employee called driver, who asked that the excavator be delivered to the Buena Vista Iron Mine, which was approximately 15 miles further south of the Relief Canyon mine. The Buena Vista Iron Mine is an abandoned mine located in a remote area southeast of Lovelock, Nevada. The mine site is located in the northern part of Churchill County. Detectives learned that in February 2022, lead core had been hired to dig samples at the mine site, which is why Troy Driver had been there waiting for the delivery of an excavator. After receiving the tip regarding the Buena Vista Iron Mine, a Pershing County Sheriff's Office sergeant drove to the mine site. The sergeant observed freshly turned over dirt on the north side of the mine that did not seem consistent with mining. On March 28, 2022, the Pershing County sergeant passed this information to detectives from the Churchill County and Lyon County Sheriff's Office. On March 29th, Churchill County Sheriff's Office detectives and Lyon County Sheriff's Office detectives responded to the mine site. Detectives observed what appeared to be freshly dug dirt mounded in the shape of a grave. The dirt had rocks scattered about the top in an attempt to make the spot appear natural. Detectives began to dig the site and discovered that it was a grave site. Forensic technicians from the Washoe County Sheriff's Office Forensic Science Division responded and assisted in processing the site. Detectives and forensic technicians exhumed the grave. Naomi was located deceased in the grave, approximately 4 to 5 feet deep. Naomi was naked, and detectives located 2 gunshot wounds on Naomi. The evidence showed that Naomi had been shot once in the head and once in the chest. The evidence showed that Naomi had been shot in the head outside of the grave. That Naomi was dragged into the grave and shot again in the chest. Naomi's remains were taken to the Washoe County Medical Examiner's office for an autopsy. A sexual assault exam was also conducted on Naomi, and DNA swabs were taken as part of the exam. Detectives and forensic technicians located excavator tracks at the gravesite. Tool marks left by the excavator shovel were located at every depth of the grave, indicating the grave had been dug by an excavator. It should be noted that tire impressions from Naomi's car were located at the mine site. Tire impressions of driver's truck tires recovered from the Winnemucca Les Schwab were also located at the mine site. During the investigation, detectives learned that driver was in a serious dating relationship in which he lived with his girlfriend. Driver's girlfriend was absolutely unaware of driver's activities. Driver's girlfriend cooperated with detectives and provided crucial information about the case. Driver's girlfriend informed us that driver had gone solo camping on the weekend of March 12th. Driver had left their house on the evening of March 11th and had returned on the night of March 12th. Driver had told his girlfriend 3 different locations at which he had visited while camping, one of which was the Relief Canyon area outside of Lovelock. Driver's girlfriend confirmed that driver had left his cell phone at home while camping, which is common for driver. Driver's girlfriend also provided valuable insight into driver's mindset, habits, etc. Detectives learned that driver was infatuated with serial killers and constantly reading books or listening to podcasts about serial killers. Driver had also recently been questioning his girlfriend's daughter about the shuttle bus to Panasonic and Tesla. Driver had been asking subtle questions about the locations of the stops, how many people ride the bus, etc.
Wow.
Driver's girlfriend confirmed that driver had been operating an excavator at the Buena Vista Iron Mine on February 14, 2022, and even provided a picture of the excavator at the Buena Vista Mine from a text message that driver had sent her. Detectives also confirmed with Leadcore that driver had been working at the Buena Vista Iron Mine on February 14, 2022. Driver had been the operator of the excavator and had been digging sample holes on the southern boundary of the mine. Evidence showed that when the other employees working at the mine site that day had left, driver used the excavator to dig a grave on the north side of the mine site.
Wow.
The grave had been dug a long distance from the sample holes, which shows that the grave site was dug with absolute premeditation almost a month before the crime. After discovering Naomi's remains in a location that driver had access to, and after reviewing the totality of the investigation, on April 1st, 2022, driver was charged with NRS 200.010 open murder, NRS 200.380 robbery, NRS 205.060 vehicle burglary, and NRS 199.220 destruction of evidence. As previously stated, DNA samples were taken from Naomi as part of the autopsy and sexual assault exam.
Wow.
The DNA swabs were processed and compared to driver's DNA at the Washoe County Sheriff's Office Forensic Laboratory. In June of 2022, the DNA results were provided to the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. The DNA swabs confirmed that driver's DNA was located on and inside of Naomi. Driver's DNA was located on Naomi's hands with a certainty of 1 in 78.55 septillion. Driver's DNA was also located on rectal swabs taken from Naomi with a certainty of 1 in 373.6 sextillion.
Man.
The DNA swabs confirmed that driver had sexually assaulted Naomi.
Jesus Christ.
After receiving the lab results on July 20th, 2022, driver was additionally charged with NRS 200.366 sexual assault. The investigation into the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of Naomi showed that on March 11th and March 12th, 2022, Troy driver randomly hunted a victim to rape and kill. Detectives believe driver left home on the evening of March 11th and drove his truck to the Buena Vista iron mine to ensure the mine was still abandoned and make final preparations. Driver had the location of the kill site already planned with a pre-dug grave site. The mine site was gated and locked, but driver had access to the combination lock from recent work at the mine. Then, during the early morning hours of March 12th, driver drove to the Fernley Walmart, which was his chosen kidnapping location. Driver picked a kidnap location that was dark and secluded, that had a high possibility of locating a single young woman alone in a vehicle. Driver arrived in his truck at the Fernley Walmart and waited for a victim. Driver observed Naomi arrive at the Walmart. Driver observed that Naomi was a young female alone in her car. Driver approached the car and likely brandished a firearm to quickly gain control of Naomi. Shortly after taking Naomi from the Walmart parking lot, driver broke and disabled Naomi's cell phone. Driver then drove Naomi in her car to the kill site at the Buena Vista iron mine, which is approximately 90 minutes away. Evidence discovered during the investigation showed that driver had raped and killed Naomi, then buried her in the pre-dug grave. Driver then burned all of Naomi's clothing, some of his own clothing, and other evidence. Driver returned to Fernley in Naomi's car. Driver parked Naomi's car, walked back to his truck, and left the area. The investigation did not reveal a connection between Naomi and driver. The kidnapping and murder were extensively and carefully planned. Since driver's incarceration, the investigation has remained ongoing. In August 2022, driver successfully snuck out a suicide and confession letter in a deck of playing cards. The note was hand-delivered to driver's ex-girlfriend by an inmate who had been released from custody. Driver's ex-girlfriend immediately turned the note over to law enforcement. In the note, driver stated things like, "There has always been a terrible darkness inside of me," and "The guilt is crushing. I didn't know anything about her until too late." The note also stated that driver intended on killing himself rather than exposing his loved ones to what he had done. After the note was received by law enforcement, driver was placed on suicide watch in the jail. As a standard procedure, driver received a mental health evaluation by a mental health specialist. Driver was released from suicide watch after the evaluation and was returned to his normal cell. In August 2022, driver attempted his first suicide attempt. Driver's attempt was observed by detention staff and medical aid was quickly given to driver. Once again, driver was placed on suicide watch for a lengthy period of time. Eventually, driver was again assessed by a mental health specialist. Driver was again released from suicide watch and returned to his normal housing area. In March 2023, driver attempted suicide a second time, which was also caught quickly by detention deputies. Again, driver received medical attention and was placed on suicide watch. After driver's second attempt, driver was placed on suicide watch for a significant amount of time.
Jesus.
Again, driver was assessed by a mental health specialist and released from suicide watch. Driver was moved back to his normal housing area. On August 6, 2023, driver attempted and successfully committed suicide in the Lyon County Jail. As with the careful planning of the murder of Naomi, driver also carefully planned his suicide. Driver kept meticulous notes on day-to-day activities within the jail. Driver demonstrated his careful planning by committing suicide in a narrow window of time that he was not observed. Conclusion. Naomi was a beautiful person with her entire life ahead of her. Naomi's life was taken from her by an evil person. Speaking on behalf of the Lyon County and Churchill County Sheriff's Office Investigations Divisions and every other detective, officer, district attorney, and citizen that aided in this investigation, Naomi will live on in our hearts forever. It was an honor to try and serve justice for Naomi. Our heartfelt condolences go to Naomi's family, whose lives were changed forever by a selfish and evil person. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office would also like to give a special thanks to the Nevada Threat Analysis Center, who didn't take a day off until driver was arrested. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office would also like to thank the professionals at Champion Chevrolet and Wild West Chevrolet for their assistance. A special thanks also goes to every law enforcement agency involved in this investigation, to include the Churchill County Sheriff's Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the Washoe County Sheriff's Office Forensic Science Division, the Pershing County Sheriff's Office, the United States Marshal Service, and the Pyramid Lake Tribal Police.
Wow.
Each member of the media will also receive a thumb drive that contains a copy of that presentation. At this time, I would like to introduce District Attorney Steve Rye.
Jeez, y'all. Wow.
Thank you, Sheriff Pope. Stephen Rye, Lyon County District Attorney. With me today is Chief Deputy Brian Haslam. He was an instrumental part of the prosecution of Troy Driver and very helpful in the prosecution of this case. I have a prepared statement I'd like to read. Our thoughts and prayers are with Naomi's friends and family. We, like the Sheriff's Office, wanted to see justice for Naomi and her family with a guilty verdict and death sentence for Troy Driver. Unfortunately, that will not happen in this case. However, it is important that the family know about what happened to Naomi and what Driver did to her. We hope that they can start to heal and deal with their loss from this point. The evidence in this case of guilt of Troy Driver in the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of Naomi Irion is overwhelming. There was nobody else involved. Law enforcement from across northern Nevada worked tirelessly to find Naomi and to investigate this case. We live at a time where so many are critical of law enforcement. It is important to point out the cooperation with one another in the community and the extensive work they did in this case. This is what law enforcement does day in and day out. But here you can see firsthand how much work is involved in identifying Troy Driver and investigating this case to the point where the case was ready for prosecution and conviction. The Sheriff's Office continued their work with the preparation of this video that was shown today. It's an excellent summary of the investigation and the evidence compiled against Troy Driver. A special thanks to Lieutenant Joyner and Detective Sergeant Cusmers for their work on this case from the start and helping put together today's presentation and helping to put Troy Driver in jail. The DA's office is certain that the appropriate jurisdiction for this case was Lyon County. Driver started his brutal crime spree in Lyon County and he finished in Lyon County. Naomi lived in Lyon County, and the community most impacted by this case was Fernley in Lyon County. We are confident that the motion to dismiss filed by Driver in this case would be denied. It was a distraction, and I know a difficult part of this case for the Naomi's family. In addition, even if it did not go our way, the Churchill County DA was on board from the start in this case and offered whatever assistance was needed by our office. We appreciate that support. We know that Churchill County DA would have continued the prosecution and seeking the death penalty for Troy Driver if for some reason this case was moved to Churchill County. I wish to thank the DA's office, Lyon County DA's office, the attorneys and staff for all the work they did in this case. I'm the spokesman, but most of the work is done by the dedicated staff in the DA's office. The family, Naomi's family, has handled themselves with dignity and courage. The investigation and information shared publicly, the suicide and attempts by driver, and the stress of the hearings and impending trial. Throughout the process, they have been respectful of and cooperative with the DA's office and law enforcement, including Casey Valley, Naomi's brother, providing very valuable information at the outset of this case to the sheriff's office and then through the continuation of the investigation. We want to publicly express our respect and appreciation for Naomi's family and how they have handled themselves. It is a tribute to Naomi and shows their deep love and commitment to Naomi and making sure that justice was served in this case. Lastly, the DA's office would like to pay a special tribute to Naomi today. There's evil in this world, and much of this case and Troy Driver reflects that evil. But there's also hope, and Naomi reflects that. As you have seen in the news and the media, Naomi was a beautiful, caring young woman with her life ahead of her. As her mother has stated, she cared deeply about others and the underprivileged. She wanted to make the world a better place, and she did. The Fernley community reflects that hope. From day one, the entire community was doing everything necessary to find Naomi and serve justice. The law enforcement community reflects that hope. They worked tirelessly in this case to bring justice to Naomi, starting with finding her and then bringing the perpetrator to custody. As we leave here today, the DA's office wants to remind everyone that Naomi's life and tragic death will be remembered because of Naomi. Her family and friends across the globe, the Fernley community, the Lyon and Churchill County DA's offices, and law enforcement from across northern Nevada will remember Naomi, and her memory will live on. Thank you.
Man.
Naomi's mother, Diana Irion, has written a statement that Taylor Allison, the Lyon County Emergency Manager, will now read.
Thank you. This statement will be read verbatim as provided to the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. Thank you all for coming today. I want to start by thanking all local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies who came together to find Naomi and the person who committed this heinous crime. I also want to thank all the media agencies, YouTubers, and all the others who worked so hard to get our story out and help find Naomi. But most of all, I want to thank my oldest son, Casey Valley, for taking the initiative in the first place. Naomi was my miracle rainbow baby. We lost her brother the year before she was born, so she started her life by helping to heal our family from the loss of Sean. Naomi was the glue that joined our blended family together. Naomi was the spark of every great idea, game, art project, and skit. She brought joy and laughter back to our family. Naomi was our future. Naomi was a bright light to all around her. She was the one who stepped into the gap for those weaker than her. She spoke out against injustice and made change in her world for the better. Now she is gone, and her light is cruelly extinguished. The horrible pain and loss we feel is beyond my ability to express with words. The hole left in our lives is enormous and can never be filled. No one should have to bury their children. The person who did this took the coward's way out, and now we will never have a guilty verdict, and we will not see him pay for what he has done. There's no way to make this situation better or to ease our pain and loss. This incident was only added to our suffering, but a trial and guilty verdict would not have eased our pain either. So now this is over. There will be no more hearings or investigation. Now our family must find a way forward. Please keep us in our thoughts and prayers as we strive to live with our pain and grief. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce Casey Valley, Naomi's brother.
Casey Valley, Naomi's brother. I don't think the light that Naomi brought to this world could ever be extinguished. We will never forget her. We will forget the person that did this.
Damn right.
We won't let him live in our heads rent free because he did this cowardly act. We're going to remember her and everything that she stood for. And this whole process has been so painful, but at the same time, it's shown me and my family how good people can be, because so many people helped us in every way you can imagine. The Fernley community, people across the world, my parents' church community. We had no unfulfilled needs, and it was just that level of goodness that we saw. It really does outweigh the bad. And we're just gonna have to remember Naomi and just think about the kind of person she was and what she brought to the world. That's all I have.
Thank you, Casey. Now we'll begin to answer questions from the media.
I'm sure we got questions.
On the left side of the room, work our way to the right.
Man, this is
Your
tough.
question is directed to myself, District Attorney Rye, or Lieutenant Tyrell Joyner. Please stay so the right person can answer that question.
Great question. Great question.
To answer your question, at this point, there is no cold cases that corroborate with any kind of timeline that we've been able to establish for driver. So if that does come up, obviously we'll run his DNA through there.
You said in some of the suicide notes and attempts, you talked to people. Did he ever confess to this murder? Was there ever a confession from driver in jail?
So the confession note, there was a confession. The way you read the note, it was a guilty confession. Basically, there was no outright, this is exactly what I did, but it was a note of guilt and confession. Yes.
Can you share a little bit of the details about what it said?
What's it, the district attorney?
Okay. We're
I
gonna
don't
hear
want
the
to
note.
read the whole thing because it's pretty lengthy, but I'll find some stuff in here.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
A couple things I need to get out there. First off, I have not lied to you, although I lied to the cops while talking to you. I think you will understand what I mean. Second, neither this situation nor any other was sexually motivated. Something happened that I can neither justify nor explain. I am so sorry.
Interesting quote.
As this is probably my only chance to explain my decision, I will do so first. First off, the guilt is crushing. I didn't know anything about her until too late. In the past, I never read news or allowed myself to think about something after I did it. I don't expect you to be able to understand this, but the pain and suffering of families and friends hurts me as bad as anybody. I'm not able to avoid it here, and it is destroying me. It continues on with several other statements like that.
Just quickly, how long was that note, and then when was that note written? Was it after the first attempt, or was that the one in the cards to the girlfriend?
This note was recovered in August of 2022, so this was prior to the first attempt.
And that was in the deck of cards?
Yes,
that
ma'am.
got out to another inmate?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it easy to get a note like that out in a deck of cards to people, or is it just a group thing?
Well, normally it's something that you don't think necessarily that the inmates can buy their own commissary items, and it's maybe not necessarily something that's considered searched on the way out, but our policy has been updated since then. So it was definitely a learning curve for us.
And it was just handwritten and it's just one page? Or?
Yes.
And since you talk about policies being updated, has there been any other updates in light of that?
That's a question for the sheriff.
As far as what happened with the investigation or the death of inmate driver. Our policy states within 72 hours, we review any death, in custody death in the Lyon County Jail. That was conducted by medical staff, investigative staff, the community, members of the community, and the results of that have shown that the Lyon County Sheriff's Office operated within policy. And there is, and the district attorney, I'm sorry, was involved in that, shows that there was no, we weren't operating outside of policy, and no changes are planned on being made at that time.
Has there been a suicide report?
Yes.
When and who?
I'm not going to release that information, and I don't know the exact date to give you.
Were the different suicide attempts in the past with a different method? And what was the item that he used to hang himself?
First suicide attempt, he attempted to hang himself from the cell block. The second suicide attempt, he attempted to slit his wrist. And the third and successful suicide attempt, he hung himself with items from his cell.
Wow.
What items from his cell?
I don't know if it's specifically the bed sheet, shirt, what, that's still being analyzed by the Nevada Division of Investigations.
And you said that it was carefully planned in a small window of time that he wasn't under surveillance. How small of a window of time, and how was he able to determine?
So he kept meticulous notes of deputies' movements inside the jail, inside his housing unit, the maximum security housing unit. He knew that when the deputy completed the cell check, that he had less than 1 hour to complete his act.
Because he was not under the 24-hour supervision at that time?
He was not under video surveillance, correct?
Crazy. Yeah, the notes.
Written. Piece of paper.
Piece of paper.
Also, I'd like to say that if you have any other follow-up questions, we'll make ourselves available in an office down the hall. Lieutenant Joyner of the Investigations Division will be available to answer questions, and myself will also be available to answer any further questions. Like I stated previously, you will receive a copy of the thumb drive that contains this presentation. That being said, is there any other questions?
The note was given, just to clarify the note, the suicide note that went out in the deck of cards, that was the inmate who had been in the jail, got it to the girlfriend, like drove it over to her house, or how did the girlfriend get the note?
I don't know the means of travel to her house. I would assume he drove. However, he did give it to the girlfriend at the house, yes. Thank you. This press conference is over. My condolences are with the Irion family. They remain in my thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Yeah, he's moved by this case just as much as anybody else. Just like all of us. Wow. So guys, hold on real quick. Got a bunch of stuff in my way. I will say this. Okay. No matter how you think, how you feel about this information, no matter how you feel about this information, nonetheless, you know, some might be thankful, happy that him gone. But then there's a lot of other people out here that will be very upset that he's gone because he's not fully getting some people feel like this is not getting full justice, the justice that this young woman deserves, that Naomi deserves. So I know that some people would be like, yeah, good riddance, bye, let him rot. But there are some other things in this that I'm sure family members and other people that are deeply touched by this case and this tragedy, I'm sure are sitting here going, dang, you know, we wanted more closure than the way that this went down. I will say also too, and I got notes, so don't go anywhere. We're gonna rehash some of the things that they said here because there's some questions I got some questions, okay? But nonetheless, let's not forget that there's a family here. There's a family here that I'm sure are feeling like this is kind of like an incomplete sentence. Yes, the brother did speak out, and what he said was beautifully said as well. I mean, we shouldn't let, and the family is not going to let this monster, Horde 42, they're not going to let Horde 42 live rent-free in their brains. They're going to remember Naomi as she was, the bright light and the wonderful sister and daughter and person that she was. And that's one thing that we have to leave with as well and let her live through us as well, right? But still there are some questions about this because, you know, one thing for me at least, there's something about that letter that they read, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. And now, if I forget, somebody remind me, because there's a lot in this that we need to look into. But one important piece is, what if he's connected to something deeper? What if he's connected to something bigger than just him doing this one time? It sounds like there's a possibility that he's done this kind of thing before. There's a possibility that there's something else going on. And I'll explain that in a little bit. I said it out loud. You heard me say it out loud when they talked about that letter that was found in the deck of cards, and he was admitting guilt. There's something in there that says that he did some other things. We're going to talk about that in a second. But nonetheless, yes, a monster's gone. But he could have had information to maybe a ring that he was connected to, or not. Maybe this was just a one-time thing, but he has a history of violence all the way from when he was a child. For all of his 42 years, 43 years on this planet, there is a history of violence. So it does make you wonder, has he done this before? And stars above, this is not conspiracy. These are questions. These are just questions. Because if he's gone, while he leaves, unless he left a letter behind saying, I did this, and this, it does make you wonder, could there have been connections to other cases? That's what they asked about the cold cases, if they're using his DNA to see if he's in some other cold cases out here. And I have to say, there is a possibility of that. We can't just walk away and just say, oh, that's it. No, there's a possibility. That's not conspiracy. Those are just logical questions that should be asked. And now the person who has the information is gone. But they could still take that DNA and put it through their systems and find out if he's connected to other cases, period, point blank. So I'm hoping through that question that inspires law enforcement to use that DNA and put it through their systems and see what else he could possibly be connected to. I'm going to get to that piece in a second. So let's talk about this here. There's a lot. Now, he tried to do the unthinkable to himself many, many times, y'all. He's done this. He tried to do the unthinkable. You get what I'm saying? Many, many times. Then they said, well, let me make sure I got this written out. I do have it. He tried to suspend himself in a cell block. So if I'm correct, the cell block would mean that he was doing that out in public, if I'm correct. Now, or out in the open, if I'm correct. So he tried to suspend himself. Then he tried to do things to his arms. I'll just say that. The question is, how did he obtain any sharp objects? That's number 2. And then number 3 was when he was successful. And he did it with items in his cell. And of course, that's when he expired. Now, they say it could have been a bed sheet. They didn't really go into detail on what the item that he used, but let's be real. This could be a JE situation if you get what I'm saying. Okay? So that piece I think is really interesting. And of course, to me, I'm going, okay, if he has a history of doing this, and of course they went and they were asking him many, many times, and he kept saying to the person that was analyzing him, basically saying, no, I don't have any thoughts of that sort or anything like that. And they just let him off of S-Watch, which I found to be a bit strange. But I'm not here to expand on that anymore. No matter what, this piece of trash is gone. But at the same time, I'm like, man, this could have opened up answered some other unanswered questions and all that. I'm just saying there's the possibility of that. But really quick, let me get Reality. Thank you so much for being a member for the past 3 months. You heard it too, Pascal. He tried to forget them. Exactly. And not think about them. She was different, he said. He heard about her and the guilt was unbearable. I'm not the only one who heard that. I'm not the only one that heard that. Just saying. I mean, I know I could be crazy sometimes, but I ain't that crazy. All right. And of course, I'll get to that other super chat here at near the end of the show. Reality. I do appreciate the super chat as well. Thank you so much. But let's stay focused on this situation. So, as we hear the information here, which is still, my mind is still blown, y'all. My mind is still absolutely blown. This is still extremely heartbreaking. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Rainbow emojis all day long to them. They suffered a great loss, and this is terrible. But they got some information. So he tried to do this thing many, many times. Now, he has a history of violence. He has a history of crime. He was doing unthinkable things to animals as a kid. He was arrested for robbery at 17. He was on parole in 2012. He moved to Nevada. He completed his parole in 2015. But then after that, he had a violent history, but he had no interactions with law enforcement for a very, very long time. Now, the one thing that I found very interesting, of course, we already know about where he left her and all that, but there's information about how he was planning this out. He planned this out a month ahead of time. And it almost seems as if, and this is the thing that didn't really answer, and I would love to have this answered. Was she a subject, or was she a focus early on? Because remember, they said, apparently, according to the girlfriend, who says she didn't know anything, she didn't know any of this was going on. That could possibly be true. It may not be true at all, too. I don't know. But they say the girlfriend didn't know. He also went solo camping. Now, let me say this really quick. Red flag number 1. You say that he went on solo camping. He would leave his cell phone behind. This was his normal MO. He would go on solo camping. Let me repeat that again. He would go on solo camping and leave his cell phone behind. Why? Why would he do that, babies? Think about it for a second. I know this grinds some people's gears and all that, but think about that for a second. Solo camping, living off the fat of the land with no cell phone? Okay. And he did this a lot. Red flag. Solo camping. So he went solo camping on the 11th, okay, of March, the day before the taking. And then the unthinkable things that he did to this beautiful soul. And then he came back on the 12th, the night of the 12th. Okay. Way before that. All right. He was asking many questions about the Panasonic bus that would pick people up from Walmart, from the Walmart parking lot, that would take them to the Panasonic location. He was asking many questions about that. Asking the girlfriend's daughter specifically about that particular bus. Way before he did any of these unthinkable things, these monstrous, disgusting, deplorable things. All right. He was also absolutely infatuated with serial killers as well, listening to podcasts, etc. He used an excavator because he was a miner. He would use an excavator. He went off kind of location in a way and tried it out, dug out a grave, dug out a ditch. So that ditch that he ultimately used at the end was something that was sitting there for about a month. So this piece of trash was plotting. He knew he was about to do something. And the main question I'm still wondering is, was she a target a month ahead of time? Or was this just a random situation, a random series of unfortunate events? But he dug this ditch, and that was there for a month before this tragedy took place. So we already know now that there was the DNA that they did take from him. Autopsy did show that she was SA'd. And of course, she received a bullet to the head and the chest. But before that, I'm sorry, he parked in that dirt parking lot where usually that's the parking lot usually used for semis, etc. He parked the car there and he walked down and then found NAOMI. Took her by gunpoint and took the car. After everything, of course, we already know he burned his own clothes and hers as well, trying to hide the evidence. Of course, they went and found out that that's where they found her, in this freshly dug, well, not freshly dug, but there was fresh dirt in this particular area. That's how they were able to find her. But we see that this was carefully planned. He clearly was planning this out for months, let's just say, possibly months. But he had this planned out, asking questions, nonchalantly having conversations and just going, oh yeah, what's up with that? What's up with that shuttle that goes from here to there? Asking questions about that, getting the information. You could see that he was calculated in how he was getting these things taken care of. Again, he dug this hole, tried out the excavator, and then dug a hole. And that hole was there for a month. He started asking questions to the girlfriend's daughter, figured out the schedule, plotting this entire time. And then on March 12th, early morning of March 12th, he walked over and he just grabbed Naomi in the way that he did. Now, one of the main questions I still have to ask is, why was he released from S-Dubs, SW Watch, S-Watch? Why was he removed from S-Watch? You get what I'm saying? If he's gone out here and he's done some very obvious things of saying like he is not well in the head, or he's just trying to find an easy way out from him facing the music, why would they just release him from S-Watch? Not just once, but twice. Why would they do that? That's the other question I have as well. He took notes on the activities. See, he's a plotter. He plots these things out. He took notes of the activities that were going on when after the second attempt, and he was put into, I guess, in a way, not really solitary confinement, but he was off and put into a cell by himself without any S-Watch. But he took notes of the activities, the scheduling, the routine of the guards and all that, figured out that he had a window to execute what he was trying to execute, and then he did what he did. He took notes, and those notes were found in the cell on a piece of paper. Now, we're circling back again, but I'm going to say it again. I know some of y'all are going to feel some type of way. Oh, you're doing the conspiracy theories. There's no conspiracy theory here. You got a person that's writing out a note that he wrote, and within that note, this letter, he said something along the lines of, nor any other was S motivated, sexually motivated. Nor any other was motivated. Who are the any others? Let me say that again. Earlier, we found out girlfriend said that this monster liked to go on solo camping trips. And a lot of times, majority of the time, he would leave his cell phone behind. Do the math, guys. So you got a note that's saying, nor any other was motivated in this type of fashion. Who are these others? Period. That's not conspiracy. Those are red flags. So he said the guilt is crushing. Okay. Why is this one crushing? If there's potentially other people out there, other victims out here, why is this one the only one that's crushing for him? All right. So these are the pieces of information that we have in this situation. And I'm telling you right now, that note says something more. And I'm so happy that the police, that officer did pull out the note and then read it. But the funny thing is you hear the note. You hear that one little, he read like maybe two little excerpts from the letter. And of course he picks the one that would be like, whoa, red flag, hello. Red flag city right here, flapping in the wind. What's up with that? Is there more? And this is the reason why I'm sure that the family's very upset about this, because they want to know more. They want more clarity. They want more truth. But also, they want to see if I'm sure they want to know if he's done this before. And if there are other victims out here that are needed to be saved, or cases that need some closure as well. So now you hear all this. This piece of trash, Horde 42, was plotting. Plotting, y'all. This is a very calculated individual. I mean, don't let his looks deceive you. All right. Horde 42 doesn't seem like he doesn't even take a shower on a regular basis. But he's plotting. He was always calculating. He plotted this whole thing out. And it does make me wonder if there were more grave plots that were dug in that area, or if there was just only one. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame, and it's very, very frustrating. I'm just going to keep it a buck with y'all because I hate hearing this series of events. And of course, I know a lot of us are shook by this story. May this family really get the peace that they need too. They need time to heal and all that. But I hope that they better take that DNA. They better take that DNA and they better run that mug. That's all I'm saying. Just because he's gone does not mean that there aren't other cases that he could possibly close. So that question that reporter asked was absolutely brilliant. It's like, hey, are there any other ones that are connected? Please make. And they'd said, oh, we haven't done that yet. Then do it. Just do it. Period. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just reading some of your comments. But have mercy. This is just crazy. Crazy, crazy. Yeah. So I'm going to read some of your comments here really quick too. Yogi Pretzel, thank you so much for the comment on YouTube. I appreciate it. And don't forget to hit that like button down below, guys. And of course, hit that reaction button, wherever you're watching this show right here. I'd really, really appreciate it. But Yogi Pretzel, I don't think it was random since he was trying to find out information about her work routine. Exactly. So I keep wondering, and I hate to say that, y'all, like, of course I'm trying to waltz through this carefully, but one of the burning questions is, was she targeted way ahead of time? Maybe had seen her there a bunch of times, or was this random where he was just like, I know for a fact the schedule of this shuttle comes at this particular time, and he just walked out there and just pounced. I don't know. It just seems wild. Okay. Sophia, thank you so much. I'm with you, Pascal. I think there are unfortunately way more. And they need to investigate and dig a lot more around there. Yeah, I'm wondering if that is too. Because you got to remember, if he was out here plotting this for, let's just say if he was plotting this for a month, let's be real. If he was plotting this just for that whole month, there could be other places that he did things like this, so on and so forth. Like I said, it's the letter for me. It's that letter that he wrote that was in the deck of cards that tells me that maybe that there possibly is more out there. Yeah. But they also say, let's not forget this. And it's funny because I highlighted this piece. According to law enforcement, he acted alone. Now, that could very well be true. But then again, maybe not. I mean, with this particular situation, it sounds like he acted alone, but there could be a possibility of him. Maybe he worked with other people in the past. You just never know. It's frustrating. Okay. Reality. Yes. It's like he had 3 pages. Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of pages of words. I'm sure there's full confessionals. Yes, I agree that, like I said, there seems like there's more to this story than just what we know so far. And there's could be more connections to other victims out here. That's why I think, you know, a lot of people are upset about him doing what he did, going out the cowardly way instead of facing the music. Let's keep it real. Because I'm sure he didn't want to I'm sure he didn't want to speak on more. Because to me, it feels like there's a lot more, unfortunately. It's heartbreaking, guys. It's heartbreaking. My thoughts and prayers. Seriously, I keep saying it over and over again, but you know, this is I was very emotionally invested in this story when it came out, and when we were covering it, you know, and it still sits with me. You know, it's terrible what happened. And I know, like I said, some of y'all be happy that he gone. But for me, I'm going, well, it just feels like I just feel like there's more. And I feel like he's the one who had the key to all that. And that's what's frustrating. I also wanted him to see justice fully. Full justice. Let me see. Real quick, reality, thank you so much for the 25. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Congratulations, Pascal and Mrs. on your new baby daughter. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. Yeah. You know, actually, Monster. Horde 42, period, should be on his tombstone. Trash. Actually, his tombstone should just be, it should just be a garbage site. Just, there it is. Gabbage. All right? That's just what I think. Leisha, that's a good question too. I mean, that goes into like deep, you know, dark tunnel type things. I don't know about that. But it is a good question to start asking about the mining company for sure. You know, that's a strong question to ask, y'all. Like, real talk, man. That's all, man. I'm just saying, just doesn't make sense. But remember, since 2015 ish. He has not had a run-in with law enforcement. So that's 8 years of him hiding in plain sight, going on these quote-unquote solo camping trips. So there could be a lot of things that he's done that he hasn't been caught on tape doing, or didn't have media, internet sleuths and true crime commentators reporting the news and bringing to light this stories like this. He might have been flying under the radar this entire doggone time, y'all. Think about that. But still, I do not understand why he was not on S-Watch. That's one piece I just don't get. He continually did something, try to do some very bad things to himself. And then he would go to the psychiatrist and basically say, no, I'm not trying to do that. And then they just said, okay, go back out there. Play amongst the other inmates. And then he tried again. And even the second time was even more harsh, even more gruesome of a way. Get what I'm saying? They bring him back, says, no, I'm fine. It's not like that at all. They said, okay, go back and play. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then the third time, he does it. Like I said, it just Strange, guys. Strange indeed. But let's see. Carol on Facebook said, let us women that have been physically in SA'd, that have lived with this all of our lives, let us take care of these guys. All of us have suffered. All of us that have suffered will make people think twice about doing this crap. Yeah, I mean, if it was the Wild Wild West, this would be a completely different situation. You feel me? But unfortunately, the law is the law, and this is how things go. Now, one thing I want to say, though, too, I don't understand why it takes so. Now, like I said, let me preface this by saying I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a regular guy that likes to tell y'all stories and have conversations and discussions with y'all. And I know that there's somebody in the chat and that's watching in the nosebleed seats is about to push up their imaginary glasses and say, well, actually, but let me just say this because it is very frustrating when it comes to certain crimes that are committed like this. Why does it take so doggone long for a case to get into trial? I understand that the defense and prosecution need to build their case and all that stuff, but sometimes, man, can we just wrap it up, like speed up the process so that that person can get that justice quickly, especially if that person has a history of trying to do some unthinkable things to himself whilst in lockup? That's frustrating. Why are all these cases, like we're looking at this Brian Koberger case, and it's taking this long, and we're finally going to be seeing him in trial in October if they don't push it further. You see what I'm saying? Why does it take so doggone long for the cases like this to be remedied, to be put out in trial, so that the families can get swifter justice instead of waiting 2 doggone years to get the justice that they rightfully deserve? That's the frustrating part about it. And I know it's the legal system and that's how it works, but I keep wondering, why does that constantly happen in that way? Because there's plenty of other people, JE and all the sort that have information that could open up a can of worms or open up more truths that are out here, solve more cases out here that are still cold. And they do something unthinkable to themselves because they just sit there idly by in a cell waiting for their time to face the music. It's frustrating, y'all. It's frustrating. I get it. That's how the cookie crumbles, but damn, I just really wish the cookie would crumble in a different way. But again, guys, I just want to say my heart and prayers go out to the Irion family. I mean, we had Diana on the show, and she and I have had a really, really great rapport over this past time. I wish she and I met under completely different circumstances, but she did talk about this very touching moment about bringing her daughter into the world, bringing Naomi into the world, and how she was a fighter. And how they didn't know if she was going to make it. And she did. And that statement that she made that was read during the press conference was absolutely beautiful, and very well written. Yeah, I just hope that we can continue with this same energy that Naomi has obviously placed on all of our hearts. I just hope that we can continue with that energy towards other cases, towards each other as well. And I hope the family gets the time to actually heal, because that's what they need now more than ever. Anyway, guys, that's the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It does really, really mean a lot. Thanks for hearing me out. There is justice. There is an end to this story. I leave it up to you guys if you feel that it is full justice or not. I'll leave it up to you guys. But may she rest in peace, and may the family heal. That's all I'm hoping for them, as they rightfully deserve. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. It really, really does mean a lot. Please be sure to hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on Facebook. And of course, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and that follow button on Facebook. All right? On both platforms, it'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family. Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Stay positive out there, guys. I'll see y'all soon. This is the Pascal Show.